Hey everyone, and thanks for joining another Hangout. This is our third episode of On the Dot. With us today, we have Joe Styler, you might recognize from some previous Hangouts, and a new face for us on our Hangouts. We have Sarah Ptalis. Sorry if I didn't say that right.
Nope, you're all good. Hey
Awesome.
guys.
Cool. And Sarah and Joe are going to take us through our discount domain club offering, as well as you're going to learn how to sell domains like a boss, apparently. So I'm excited to learn more about this.
Thanks, Colby.
So you want to start off?
Yeah, we'll get started.
Cool.
Today we have with us Sarah Ptalis, who is a product manager for the aftermarket, and she oversees everything that goes on as far as our products for Afternic and GoDaddy, so any aftermarket products she's very familiar with. She was my boss for a while, very smart and talented person, and we're really happy to be able to have her on the Hangout today because she has a lot to add. So we're going to start out with Sarah going over the Discount Domain Club.
Cool.
Thanks, Joe, and appreciate the kind words. So hi everyone, very nice to meet you. So we'll be going through the Discount Domain Club. So really taking this from the life cycle of the domain name. So everything starts with getting a great deal, and then Joe's going to wrap up talking about, well, now how do I divest that portfolio and return a profit? So Joe, if you want to go to the next slide. Let's go right into the Discount Domain Club. So the Discount Domain Club is a membership that was really designed for bulk domain buyers. So similar to a Sam's Club or a Costco membership, when you buy in bulk, you can get discounts. So similarly, this is available for domain name registration fees. We have discounts up to 60% off. The percentages vary by TLD, and I'll show you guys a few examples in a minute. The cost of this is $9.99 a month, or about $120 a year. If you purchase multiple years up front, you can get up to 20% off those annual fees. There are a few additional benefits that are here on the right-hand side of the screen, but one in particular I want to call out is free access to the world's largest wholesale marketplace, which is GoDaddy Auctions, which is a great place to get a deal on high-quality inventory. So I suggest everyone here go and check that out. So Joe, why don't we jump right into the math and show some examples. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what's the standard pricing and compare that against the Discount Domain Club. So let's imagine that you are already a GoDaddy customer. You have 100 domain names in your portfolio. They're .com domain names. You're going to pay $14.99 per domain, which gives you a $1,400 cost when you renew them. Now let's compare that to the Discount Domain Club. Thanks, Joe. So here you're paying $8.29. So that's over a $5 savings per domain name. So that's a total of $829, which is savings of about $570. So that's an example of renewals, but as Joe's going to talk about in a little bit, there's a number of new TLDs that are coming out. So let's take an example of a .guru. So these great extensions are coming out. You want to start speculating. You want to start protecting your brand. And so you'll see here you've purchased 10 .guru registrations. Those are $39.99 a domain, bringing your total of approximately $400 when you register them. And when you compare that to the Discount Domain Club, thank you, Joe, you're going to pay $23.99. That's over $16 savings per domain name. So the total savings here between the $400 and your $239, $160. So after your annual subscription of the $120, you have a total savings between your renewals and your new registrations of $730. So Joe, just a thought here. Is there anything we could do for people on the call right now, or maybe folks that watch this after, so that they could get a sense of what type of savings the Discount Domain Club can offer, maybe specific to their portfolio?
Yeah, I think it would be great if you have any questions about your portfolio, if you just reach out to me, Joe at J Styler or Joe at GoDaddy.com. And we also have auctions at GoDaddy.com. Either one of those emails will get you in touch with somebody who can look over your portfolio, and we could do the math for you and let you know how much you would save.
That's great. Thanks, Joe. I think that would be really helpful, because everyone has different TLDs in their portfolio. So next, I was going to go through some of the commonly asked questions. There's a lot of content here. This is all available on the site, and so we'll walk through that, but feel free to read ahead. So let's start out. How do you know that you're a good fit for the program? So I mentioned this earlier. If you're a bulk domain owner, you're a great fit. The watermark we use is if you own 18 .com domain names, you're going to break even. So anything above that is it means that this is going to be a cost savings to you. So next question, how do I sign up? So we have this quick link that Joe set up for us, which is x.co/domclub. But you can also go to GoDaddy.com and click on the Domains tab from the navigation, and there's a direct link there to Discount Domain Club. And that's the page where you'll find all this information published. So let's get into when the savings are applied and how much that discount is. So those are the next two questions. So the savings are applied immediately. So as soon as you become a member, it applies to registrations, renewals, and transfers. And the discounts, as I mentioned before, vary by TLD. We just showed two examples, one of a .com and a .guru. I suggest you go take a look at the site and review the discounts that are available. So let's talk about what TLDs are available for a discount, and are there any exclusions. So all TLDs available through GoDaddy for registration, which is over 350 extensions, including some of the most common that I've listed here, are available. There are a few things to mention. So the first is, when are they available? So new extensions are rolling out every day. As soon as they're available for pre-registration on GoDaddy, which is an early access phase of the rollout of a new TLD, and we can talk about that a little bit later if there are questions, the discounts are applicable to those pre-registrations. Additionally, it's available anytime you do a registration or renewal. There are a few exclusions from the program. This is something that we call premium domains. So some of the new TLDs that are coming out have a higher registration fee. It's usually a very small group of high-quality domain names, and they have different fees than what we call the base tier. And I'm happy to answer any questions about what that means when we get to the Q&A. So that's a little bit about the Discount Domain Club. Joe, I'll stay on the call if there's any questions about it at the end, and over to you to talk more about TLDs. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sarah. One thing that I think is important to remember about Discount Domain Club as well is anytime you're participating in our expired auctions on auctions.godaddy.com, when you go to check out, you have to pay a renewal fee because the name's expired, and the Discount Domain Club automatically kicks in and drops your renewal fee down to the lowest price. So you're going to get some extra savings when you participate in a lot of our auctions as well.
That's a good extra perk. And I just want to call out, too, if anybody has any questions throughout the show, feel free to submit them onto the page, and I'll be monitoring them, and I'll make sure we get to them at the Q&A section. So you can submit them early, and you don't have to wait to the end.
And you can also put in the comments we're going to be checking for the next several days and make sure that we get everything answered for you.
Good point. Cool.
So now that we know how to save some money when you buy and you sell, or when you buy and you renew your names, we want to know, how do you make money when you're selling the new GTLDs? And I think it's really important to take a step back and realize that this is speculation. There's a lot more sales of some of the other TLDs like Com or Net or Horde that have been around for a while. So when you think about the GTLDs, you have to realize that it's some speculation and you need to think. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't invest. We're going to give you some general strategies that you should follow to make sure that you invest wisely. We just think it's important that you're real wise about how you invest so that you can try and get some solid returns on your investment. The first step to do that is really to educate yourself. You have to think about what TLDs are on the market. And there are hundreds of new TLDs that are out there, and to be quite honest, I don't know them all off the top of my head. I have to constantly refer back to charts, and sometimes we'll joke around and people will say dot something or other, and you're like, is that a real one or not? And because there's just so many that are out there. So the real key to figuring out which ones to invest in is to make sure that you start to educate yourself on which ones are available and which ones are popular and which ones might be able to resell. We'll get into a little bit of that in a minute. But the important thing I think to take away from this is there's so many, it's hard to focus on all of them. So you want to try and key in on the ones that you know about. You really want to pick a niche, and you want to start to educate yourself on things that you're familiar with. There's names like .nyc, and there's that are real local names that are referred to New York City, or there's names like XYZ, which are really broad and can mean anything. And then there's names that are specific to an industry like .auto or .lawyer. So you want to make sure that you know the industry, the niche, the city, whatever it is that you want to focus on, that you already know that well or have a real interest in it and want to learn more about it, so that you can understand if these names are going to be valuable to the people that want to use them or not. Because you have to think in that industry, if you know what would be valuable to you, that you could then portray that value to other people. So where do you go? How do you learn about these new TLDs, and how do you get knowledgeable about which ones are out there and which ones are popular and which ones might be something you want to stay away from investing in? One great place to go is NamePros. They have namepros.com, has a forum, and they talk about all different types of domain investing. And they have a forum that's specifically set up for the new GTLDs. So they have the new GTLDs, anything you want to really talk about or learn about, things that are coming out, sales that happen. They talk about a lot of different angles. So really there's no end to what you can learn from things that are already posted there, from what our other members have, but you're also free to ask any questions that you might have yourself. Another great place to check is dnforum.com. They don't have a specific thread that I could find, but they do have a lot of people that are discussing the GTLDs on there. And again, dnforum.com, you can go there and you can sign up, and you'll be able to go ask any questions that you want. Both of those are free to participate in, and they have a lot of knowledgeable participants that are really happy to share their information with you. I think it's important when you go to sell these or buy names that you want to resell that you don't take a big gamble and you don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's great to think about buying a name and think of it maybe as a lottery ticket. Maybe I'm going to strike that big lottery, but when you're really investing seriously, you want to buy names that you have a good resale value. And a good way to do that is to look at people that have already done this and are already marketing the new GTLDs and find out how they're doing it. You don't want to take just a shot in the dark and throw your number on the roulette wheel. You want to really make sure that you're looking at what other people are doing ahead of you that have been successful. I think if you look back at the advent of .com and some of the .com investing, you have people like Rick Schwartz or Frank Schilling, Scott Day, people that have made big names for themselves in investing in names that 15, 20 years ago other people didn't see the value in. But again, they invested in things that they really knew well. I mean, think about watermelons.com for Scott Day. His family sold watermelons, and he thought, I could really sell more online, and that would be a much better route. So we went with something they knew, and then he started to expand to other different commodities that they were able to sell. Rick Schwartz, Frank Schilling, they invested in things that they also knew the market and knew that the market had value, and that they knew that there was some potential return because they saw the value in those things, and they knew those niches that they started to invest in, and from there their pool grew wider. But at first they invested in things that they really knew well, and I think that that is a winning strategy. So when we look at the new GTLDs, we have to think about what things do you know well and what GTLDs are being successfully marketed now. And to do that, you could look at other people that have done it before and what names are already selling. So I want to take you through a few sites so that you can gather some of this information yourself and start to put together a plan so that you can invest wisely. So the first thing to do, I think, is to find out what names are selling for right now, so that you can kind of see if the vertical that you want to pursue is a vertical that people are actually making money in and selling things on. So sold.domains is a great place to go. It's run by a guy in Greece, Konstantinos, who has his own blog. but he also has this side set up that he tracks all the new GTLDs, and he tries to grab every GTLD sale that he can and put it on here. So it's a great place to go and research and find out more information about the new TLDs and what they're selling for. Another great place to check is namebio.com. This is great for any kind of research for past sales, but one thing that I think that's really cool about this site, if you're checking for new GTLDs, is that you can check by TLD, and you can pick if you wanted to find one of the new TLDs like .berlin or .bike or .bid. You can narrow it down, and you can find out, have there been any sales? What have those sales been for? It looks like they have 7 sales of .berlin so far, and it looks like the highest sale is down here. So you can try and figure out on NameBio, by the TLD that you really want to start to specialize in, or the niche that you want to specialize in, which name sold, and then you can take a look at these sites and see who they sold to and kind of get an idea for who the potential buyers might be. So now that you have an idea of who's buying right now, it's good to also see who the potential buyers might be. And to do that, one of the things that I really like to use every day is Domain Tools. Domain Tools has a couple different things that I love about it, but just real quick, you can do a whois lookup, and you can find out, for example, on this one I did NewYorkHomes.com. You can find out when that was registered. Right here is created in '95, so it's been around for a long time. You can kind of see if there are any drops or not. If there's drops, it'll tell you here, so you can see how popular it was. This one hasn't been dropped, so it's a pretty popular name. It's been around for a long time. And you can also see over here that every other extension, major extension, is taken. And it's registered right now and active. So that shows me that a name like this is a very popular name, and that there's a lot of competition for the other extensions. So maybe getting a new GTLD that matches that keyword is going to be a good thing to do, because there's a limit in how much is out there already in the market. You know, people are already trying to grab that name. So if we were to look at Domain Tools and we did a quick lookup on MumbaiHomes.com for all of our customers in India who are watching, we can see that this one is also registered, and so is the .net, right? And we can see that the .org and .info were registered at one time, but they've since dropped, and now they're available to buy. And you can see the .biz and .us have never been registered. That's why they're available. So this gives you a really good snapshot to see the popularity of a name, and you can kind of explore the niche that you're going after and look at some similar names in these other extensions and figure out who owns the name, how long have they had it for, has it dropped. See, 3 registrars with 1 drop, so this one's dropped. So we know if it's got 2, 3, 4 drops that maybe the people that were buying it before didn't really find value in it, let it go. And you can also see over here on the right, if other extensions are taken, if they were taken at one time and then dropped again, that kind of gives you a hint that maybe they weren't realizing a lot of value in it. And if there's other available extensions. So those are great things to check out when you're thinking about registering one of these new GTLDs. Another thing to look at, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, is what are the registries that are selling these names doing to market the names, and how have they been used successfully? It's really important to look at some of these other companies because they have a lot of resources behind them to be able to do the right marketing, and they have one place that they can gather so that you can go show potential buyers that there's real value in these names, and show them how the companies that are selling them are using them, or have examples of their customers who are using it. So Donuts has a site called name.kitchen, and this is a great site. Shows a lot of information about their TLD specifically, and the thing that I like a lot is it will show you on their blog these different types of sites that are registered and being used. So you can see myrescue.dog, artof.fitness, and you can go to these sites and check out how they're being used. These are great examples to show potential buyers of sites that are already being used, and it's also a good place to try and find out who are the people that are buying these names now, what types of businesses are buying them, what types of people are buying them, so that you can go and look for GTLDs that are in similar niches and similar areas and verticals, so that you can buy similar names and market to people who seem to be buying these types of names already. You don't want to go after a market where there isn't anyone who's buying these names. That's why it's really important to check the who is, and it's also important to go and check these sites because you can find out, hey, who are the popular, people that are adopting this? Who are the different verticals and industries that really are using these names, and how are they being used? Another site to check is XYZ. Daniel Nagari's got a blog that he writes, gen.xyz/blog. If you scroll down on his blog, you can see different success stories of people who are using his names, and you can find out how they're using them and what they're doing with them, which is great. And it's another way to find out who are the buyers, who are the people that have the potential to be able to pick these names up and how they're being used.
Has he featured Google's new XYZ site?
We're getting there. That's a good question. Another great site is Nick.club. Now, Nick.club shows not only a lot of information on its homepage about the registration stats, how many people are using it, how many different names have been registered or dropped. It tells you on the site page where you go over here, live sites, who's using them now. And this has a great gallery that you can go through and again find out who's using them. Homesearch.club, right? AAA homeowners.club, shaving.club. You can find out the types of businesses that are being used on these sites that are live, and you can go search for them in Google and you'll see that the results pop up, that these TLDs are showing up in Google, and you can show a real end user that there's value in these names, and you can find out who the people are that are buying these types of names and how they're being used, it's a great marketing tool for you to be able to sell your potential names, and also a great way for you to research who the potential buyers might be. Uniregistry.link is another site that you can go to, and it shows their extensions, but if you scroll down to the bottom of the page when you pick one of their extensions, you'll be able to again see real sites that are being built on these names. You can pick any of the extensions, and you can go there and learn about what the people are doing on those sites, how they're using the site successfully to make revenue, and how the industries that adopt them are using them, and how they can market, how you can market to them. So these are all really great sites that you can check out. It's important to know that when we're marketing right now, these GTLDs, that the average person that you talk to on the street doesn't know about them. There's a lot more news, especially with Google being in the news for buying ABC.xyz. There's been a lot more news, and I think that will just continue, and it takes a little bit of time for the trends to change, but they are changing. And right now, when you talk to somebody about a lot of the TLDs, they're not sure about all the extensions that came out, or even that these new extensions are there. So it's great to really understand who would know that the extensions are out there, and who's a visionary that you can get these domains in front of that are ready to just buy the name. Because it's not going to be a guy who's in a big, well-established company that doesn't try any of the new marketing, isn't on social media, and thinks that the internet's horrible and he should really just focus on print ads in the newspaper. That's not going to be your buyer. You want to get in front of somebody that understands the vision and understands that being out in front with these new TLDs is groundbreaking, and it's going to change the way that the internet interacts. And you want to look at those people who understand it, who get it, and who are able to just say, yeah, this makes sense, I want to buy that name. So you have to think about who are the visionaries in the industry who are using these names. A great place to look, again, is those websites that I just showed you. You can find out who's using the names. But you really want to think about who's going to get it, who do you want to get in front of at a company who can understand it, who's the marketing person. You can check LinkedIn, you can check Google, you can find out who's more innovative, and you can get in front of those visionaries, because being in front of the visionary is really the best way to get these names sold. So you want to figure that out. And I think you can look at ABC.xyz and see that there's visionaries at Google that are using these new names, and it's a huge company. And in fact, the ABC was developed as a parent company that's over Google and all its other subsidiaries. So this is a giant company, right? They're using it, and they're using it well. But there's visionaries at every level. There's coffee.club, which is more of a mid-sized business, and it's still very successful, does a lot of business, and it does it on the .club extension. But there's somebody behind that, Bill, who's a real visionary in the area of the internet. He does great online marketing and really understands strategy and gets it. So he's able to make a real profit on this name, and it's done very well. Same thing with shaving.club. Shaving.club, you can go search in Google and it's going to come up, and it's going to compete right there with Dollar Shave Club and Gillette. The guy behind that, Luke, is an excellent marketer, very savvy on the internet, really understands how to use names and how to bring in customers and how to do online marketing. And he's using this new domain name to make real revenue for his company. And it's really been a successful thing since he's launched it over a year ago. So from huge companies like Google to mid to large companies to a smaller company, Wyoming.fish. This guy is a visionary. He's a fly fishing guide in Wyoming, and he changed his site over to the new .fish extension because he thought it's a great fit for him, and he really understands that people will remember that and they'll come to that. And in a few years, as these new extensions gain more and more popularity, he's going to be sitting on prime real estate with this new .fish extension that's going to guide people to exactly what they're looking for, a great fly fishing experience in Wyoming. So it really doesn't matter if you're talking to somebody like a Sergey Brin, who is helping run Google, or if you talk to somebody that's a fly fishing instructor or anybody in between. You just want to get to the right person and understand, do they have the vision that it takes to really make a successful business and to understand how they can leverage these new TLDs. And when you get in front of the right person, then you can make those sales. So once you have done all the research to figure out what's your niche, you've educated yourself on which names are selling, you understand how to really market those to people, how do you get the name actually sold? Well, a great way to do that is to get on afternic.com, which we did a hangout on last time. It's x.co/an-hangout. And if you go check that out, it tells you all the information you need to figure out how to list your names on Afternic. The other place that you can list is auctions.godaddy.com, which is the biggest marketplace for aftermarket names in the world. And you can go list any of the new TLDs there. We just did a release a couple of weeks ago, so that there's over 400 new extensions that you can list on the aftermarket there. Awesome. So Afternic and GoDaddy continue to roll out the new extensions as they're released to the public. Like Data Online just came out. It's a big one. And as those new extensions come onto the market, we roll them out onto the aftermarket so that those are being able to be sold as well. So it's important to get your names in front of people. And if you can list them on our aftermarket, they're going to show up in our purchase path. When people go look for the name as an exact match, it'll show up and show that it's available for them to buy. And that's a great way to get in front of millions of people. And it also is a great way to sell your names to people that you handpick and reach out to. So I reach out to Colby and I say, Colby, I have this great name for you. I want you to buy Colby.online. You can make a blog about it. It's going to be great for you to bring people to your website. And I have it for sale. And he says, great, but I don't know who the heck you are, and I don't really trust you. So you can sell it on a trusted marketplace like auctions.godaddy or Afternic, and that way Colby can come to the site. He knows who he's dealing with. He feels very confident that he's going to get the name when he pays his money, and he's able to buy that name. So if you want to sell the name and you're talking to different people about buying the name, you have to have a place that you're actually going to sell it. And getting it in front of all those extra people who might be looking for the searches that you might have never even thought to reach out for is a great benefit of listing it on Afternic or GoDaddy. And it's also a great venue for the people that you've reached out to and say, hey, this is a great name for you, and they totally get it and they want to buy it. Now they can feel comfortable that when they pay their money, they're going to actually get it.
Makes sense. A lot of the sites you showed had like established businesses around them. Do people usually, when they buy domains to hold to sell later, do they usually build temporary sites to give people kind of a better vision of what they could do with it?
Yeah, some people do and some don't. It really depends on the bandwidth that they have. So if you're buying 1,000 names, you might not have the ability to do that. Yep. But one good thing to do when you're researching and trying to figure out which names are important and which names you think are going to be more popular and more easy to sell would be to throw some pages up on those. You can use our parking platform, which comes free with the Discount Domain Club. And when you use that and you park your names, you can see which ones are getting some traffic, and that's a great guide to figure out which ones should I kind of develop a little bit more so I can get some ranking.
Yeah.
If you're really thinking about using these names on your own and you're not trying to get them so that you can flip them down the road to somebody else, but you're thinking, hey, you know what, I want to sell shoes, and shoes.club, where I could send somebody shoes every month would be a great name. A lot of these companies have founders programs where you can go in and get some of these better names and work a special deal with them, and a lot of them will help do marketing for you, which is another great benefit because you want to launch your business, and they also want to show successful businesses that are using their TLD. So it doesn't hurt to go to the sites that I showed you and reach out to them if you're really going to do something that's going to be meaningful, that you really think you can launch a business on, and you're not looking to just flip the name. So if you really want to use it for a live business, these are great options, and you can get in on the ground floor for names that I feel in a few years are going to be priced well out of most people's range.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they're better branded in a lot of cases too versus the traditional .com, .net. Awesome.
With that, we're going to open it up for questions. And any questions that you have that you want to post in the Hangout, we'd be happy to answer now. And if you have any comments you want to add, we're going to have the link to YouTube where you can put comments on YouTube or our Hangout page on Google, or you can email me, jstyler@godaddy.com, and I'll be happy to get you an answer right away.
Absolutely, and we'll give that a minute or two since there's a little delay for everybody to get going on there. Sarah, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Awesome. Cool. Just want to make sure you're still online just in case we get any Discount Domain Club questions coming in.
I am, and now you can see me.
Oh, there she is. Awesome.
The other thing I want to mention too, while we have everybody thinking about questions, is if you have comments that you want to put in there that aren't necessarily a question, feel free to put those in. If there's ways that we can improve, if there's things that you think are missing, either on our products or on the Hangouts, things that you'd like to see, put them in. We're here, we're trying to do this to really be a valuable service for you, not for us to just get on here and talk. So if there's things that you want us to talk about or to bring online, let us know, we'll get them in there, and we'll take your suggestions for any of the products that we have. And just as a teaser, next month's Hangout is going to be towards the end of September, and we're going to bring a couple of guests, some famous domainers that are going to come in and do some help in evaluating names. So if you have names that you want to get evaluated, let us know, and we will provide a link for that soon so that you can start sending in names that you really want to get evaluated by these guests. So that's something we thought the community would really like, and we want to do what we can to help.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about that one. I think that's going to be really awesome. Cool. Well, it doesn't look like we got anything coming in right now live, but I'm sure once people start watching the replay, questions will flow in as usual. So feel free to post them in the comments or on the YouTube page. We'll definitely moderate that for a while, at least a week or two, or sometimes longer. So submit them away. And thanks again, Sarah, for coming on and taking the time to present everything to us. And then Joe, thank you again for your time.
Yeah, I think one thing that if we don't have any questions, I'll just mention. I was at a domainer hangout that we had in LA last month, and Paige Howe spoke. He helps with the .LA extension, and he's also a domainer. And one of the things that he said was, you're seeing these names that are available now that are just these great names, these great combinations, right? Like shoe.club would be a great name. I don't know if it's available or not, but when you check, you find these names that are available out there that are really great, and you might think to yourself, man, this is such a great name, but nobody else bought it, so I'm not going to buy it either because it can't be that great. It must just be my mind. Yeah. And he said, and I've seen this, time and time again, that by the time people realize that these are good, those names will be taken because other people are going to be out there buying them. And I think that's true if we look at the current trend in four-letter.coms. A few years ago, you could get them really cheap. Right now, they're going for a lot more money. The three-letter.coms have gone up in value significantly. You used to be able to buy them relatively cheaply compared to what they are now. And if you had bought them a couple years ago when they were more available, especially you could pick up 4 letters very cheaply a few years ago. You can't do that anymore. So it's really thinking about what the trends are that are going to come and trying to get yourself ahead of that. And part of that's the education piece and really figuring out what names would be good in the vertical that you really know about, and then finding those names and finding a way with the discount club to try and sit on those names at a lower opportunity cost and saving those for later, because I think that we're in a really sweet spot right now where those names are available and you can go get them, and you can get them at a really reasonable price, but that's not going to be forever. So this is a pivotal time, and I think it's a great time to invest.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we did have one question come in while you were speaking. This will be more for Sarah. Sarah, Plaza Domains wants to know, it seems like Discount Domain Club supersedes other better discounts that are available. Any thoughts?
Yeah, so the way that our platform works is that you'll get the lesser of the two, so whichever is the lowest. So for example, let's say you were buying two .com domain names, so that's $829 per domain name, and we're running a special which is $299 with a 2-year renewal. So the way that the $299 with the 2-year renewal works is it's $299 for the first year and then $14.99 for the second. So the sum of that is greater than the sum of the $829 times 2. So that in that particular case, the Discount Domain Club is your best possible value. And so that's automated in our system so that we'll always give you the greatest deal.
That's awesome. So it's more of a long-term play with the Discount Domain Club too, instead of that short burst discount for the first year.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on, Colby.
Cool. Well, sweet. I think with that, we'll wrap it up. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys again for coming on, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
Thanks a lot.